Hello, Nick here again, and I'm doing a radio comparison for a viewer of mine, a friend Robert, who requested that I compare Kenwood 890, which you're looking at right now, which if you've seen some of my other videos, it's been on there before. And I'm comparing that Kenwood TS890 with the radio on the bottom is an AOR 5001D, D for Delta. And the radio on the top, just because it's sitting there, is a Drake R8B, B for Bravo. And I've got a Wellbrook antenna in here, wired in here, outdoors. And I've got an MLA, one of those inexpensive loop antennas you get off of eBay. MLA loop. They cost like $45. So works pretty good. Just doesn't do long wave. So it just loses sensitivity at the bottom of the medium wave band. But for normal shortwave, it seems to work. Anyway.
020 at 4. Cab okay. Temperature 6. Viewpoint 2.
So this radio is on the MLA loop. Let's put it on the Wellbrook. That's the Wellbrook. That's the MLA. Wellbrook had a heterodyne in there. Now the two antennas are pointed in opposite directions, meaning they're facing the flat part of the loop, they're facing opposite each other. So that could have a lot to do with it. And it could have a lot to do with the signals and the way they're coming in and stuff. So really a head-to-head would only be looking at each radio if it has the same antenna as the other one. Anyway. Antenna 1, I think that's the Wellbrook. All right, so it seemed to stop now. All right, let's switch to another one. So here is the Drake.
Aviation weather report.
On the Wellbrook. You can hear that, or at least I can, slightly hear that heterodyne.
Okay. Temperature 4. Viewpoint 1. Altimeter 1020 hectopascal.
Here's the AOR, I think. I can't remember I've got switches everywhere. Let's see here. There we go.
Ceiling 2,500 broken. Temperature 1. Viewpoint -1. Altimeter 0.73 hectopascal. Recent thunderstorm. 3. Lodgett.
I'm slightly blocking the speaker here. There, try to expose the speaker a little bit better. The speaker's on top.
Ceiling 4,000 broken. Temperature 15. Viewpoint 14. Altimeter.
I can't put these two radios on the MLA because of my switching setup here. I've got them going to another radio behind me. So these two radios can only use the Wellbrook.
Shannon, time 0130 Zulu. Okay, temperature 4.
Here's the Drake.
Altimeter 1020 hectopascal.
Drake is a great radio.
Presswick.
2.3 kilohertz.
120 Zulu. Wind 160.
4, 6.
Visibility more than 6. 3,500. Temperature 3. Dew point 2. Altimeter 1020 hectopascal.
Let's go back to the AOR.
Time 0130 Zulu. Wind 210 at 23. Visibility more than 6. In the vicinity.
6 kilohertz.
At 400. 1,300 scattered. Cumulonimbus. Ceiling broken. Temperature 1. Dew point -1. Altimeter 0973 hectopascal. Recent thunderstorm.
So on 6 kilohertz, this one had a little weirdness in there. There was like a click or something in the background.
Time 0100 Zulu.
6 kilohertz is really wide for sideband.
Q cloud at
In case any of you don't know, this is a Shannon Valmet 6.754 on USB.
Temperature 15. Dew point.
I don't know where it's broadcast from. I think it's coming from Ireland. Might be, but I don't know for sure.
Terminal forecast.
All right. Let's go back to the 890 because we can find our signals on here with this nice scope that it's got. So this is the MLA antenna. Excuse me, the Wellbrook antenna.
No report received.
Alright, so this is the this is the Wellbrook antenna. So let's go back to like the tropical band, or I call it the tropical band. It's a European band. It's really lively. Look at all those signals. Usually up to about 6,200, right around 6,200 it dies. Let's see if we can find a weak one. That's 6070. And this is running 6 kilohertz, I think. Yeah, 6 kilohertz bandwidth. Actually, it's 6 kilohertz roofing filter. I think it's the bandwidth is 3.8. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Yeah, so this is bandwidth 49 and the roofing filter is 15. I don't know. That's really narrow, 2.7. Weak AM signals on shortwave, I typically like to run this for the roofing filter to be at 6. Alright. Which one's hooked up here? Alright. So let's put this one at 6070. Let's put this on Where's the mode? I don't use this radio very often. There we go, mode, AM. Six kilohertz bandwidth, AM 6070.
In order to and wait and see where everything is going. These processes.
And there's the this has a scope on it too, and I can adjust the scope too. I'll try to remember how to do it. I think I do function. Yeah, so if I hit function, I can bring this down to 0.4, see the span 0.4 of megahertz, or I can spread it out all the way to 10. See, there's 10. See how that, it shows you a lot of stuff. So I think I'm gonna run this around 1. Maybe less. So that's at half a megahertz. So it's 250 either side of the signal. And that's the gain. So if this one here, if I turn this, notice how the gain on the meter jumps. And if I hit, let's see, I think if I hit function, yeah, see, I can tune it here using this one. That's Radio Havana. That's 6030. Kind of a weak signal there. Let's see how that sounds on this one. También recibe conexiones menos rápidas que aquellas con los plan de pago y tampoco se ofrece soporte de persona a persona y sobre. Si se dejan de lado estas limitaciones, this one has noise DNR. So up here where my right finger is up here, watch the screen over here, it'll show NR. And there's an NR2. Now this receiver was designed for hams to use it on sideband and CW. And these logarithms that they use for this digital noise reduction work amazing on sideband and especially CW. But on broadcast stations, it really wasn't designed for that. So the more DNR you put into it, the more synthetic the voices sound. They sound like they're talking underwater. Some brands of radios, some radios can do a better job on the broadcast stations than others, like the ICOM 8600 works great. The Yaesu 101 that I did a video on the other night, that works great. Also my BHI DSP external speaker that I had plugged in, that was on the video that I did the other night on the 101 versus the Harris 505. That speaker turned any radio into an incredible DNR radio. So here we are, noise reduction level 1. If I hold it in, I think I can change it. Yeah. And I think I use, which button do I use to change? Oh, here it is. See it to the plus and minus. We'll run it at like level 3. There's also a waterfall. So if I see, I can leave it on a what I call the small screen, and I can change the span here. I'll show you that in a minute. But you can see your the things that you put on, like DNR or noise blank. But also I could go to the large scope. So I get a larger screen with a longer scope, but my meter changes to a bar graph, and I lose, well, I still can get those, but I lost the clock. So if you noticed before, I had a clock here with local time and UTC. Now I haven't changed this for daylight savings time from the other night, so I still need to change that. But if I change this to the large screen, watch, I lose the clock. But you get a nice, really big scope. And if you, let's see, what does it say here? Span 500 kilohertz. Maybe you can read that. And then to change it here, if you press it and tap it, it gets bigger. And if you press it and hold it, it gets smaller. So there's 200 kilohertz span, which means 100 on either side of the signal. 100 kilohertz total. Or is that 100 per side? 6080. Yeah, that's 5980. So that's 6080. That's 100 total. So DNR off. All right, let's go back to this one. All right, let's go to put it on AM. You couldn't even, sorry, you couldn't even see that. I'm trying to get as close as I can here with my tripod. I've got a bandwidth selection, and I've got my mode selection. So we're on AM, 6 kilohertz, 6 kilohertz AM. Now I'm going to put sync on. It flashes till it locks. Now it locked. The sync is on. That might help with some of the fading. Again, this is on the Wellbrook antenna. And if you want, there's an RF gain on the outside. Then we've got a notch filter over here. No, excuse me, not a notch, it's a pass band. The notch is over here. But there's no heterodyne, so I don't need a notch. And there's no interference from another station, so I don't need the pass band. And this radio does a lot of stuff by, so if you hit, so each one of these buttons here work this menu here. So this button works these, and there's two functions. There's the top, which is switching between VFO A and B. And then the bottom function is making A equal B. So you hit function, and then the other one gets active. So like over here, you've got timer and step. So if you just hit it, it's the timer, but if you hit function, it activates the lower one, step. So I can change the step size. Oh, this one also has an auto bandwidth function. Let's put that on. So if you like change the mode or something, it'll automatically change the bandwidth to the most desirable, or I should say the most applicable one for what you're currently using. So that's regular AM. We didn't seem to change it much, but we don't have a lot of fading on this channel. All right, let's go back and find another signal on the 890. Well, I work my way through this maze of antenna switches. All right, let me show you. So I've got, and they're not even labeled correctly because I just redid my listening station. So this one is MLA, and then this used to be a Yaesu 5000, now it's the 890. And then this one goes to this cable, which splits. Actually, that one goes to that cable. I'll show you that radio. And it comes all the way around, and it goes to a radio I just had rebuilt, which is this old Zenith 1939 shortwave with a robot eye. You know, it works great now. It's an awesome radio. Let me try and back up. It's a console radio. So anyway, so the MLA goes to that Zenith, and it goes to the 890. And then this one is the Wellbrook mounted outside, and the 5000, since I switched it, is now the 890, and then the other one sends it to another splitter, which is back there between these two radios. All right, so let's see what else is going on here. We're starting to get long. Let's go to WWV just to see if anything's there. Let's go to a really powerful station. You can see this blowtorch signal over here. That's 5085. I think it's WTWW something.
37088. And our email address, very simple.
Let's open up the
WTWW.us.
change the filter.
At WTWW.us. And I want to win. Roll back your hands in time from our Saxo Wax music.
All right, let's try one of these other radios on that station. Let's see here, Wellbrook. And I think we've got this one up. So you can manually dial over here. So there's what do you call it? Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta raise the camera for this one. You missed what I was doing. I can manually enter stations. So there's 5. And the automatic bandwidth left it at 6 kilohertz. Let's go up to 5085. So none of these radios are really designed to listen to music. Let's see how the automatic bandwidth works. So let's tune away to a 040, I think is a 025 is active. Let's put it down to like 4. Now let's tune up to 085 and see if it changed it. Or see if it will change it. It didn't change it. There's 6, so auto's a waste of my time. But like I said before, this isn't really a radio listen to music on. These are listen to voice. All right, so let's try Longwave. 0.365. And we'll go nice and small here. So I forgot to even tell you, it's about 9 p.m. Central Standard Time in Dallas, Texas. Which is was that 1900? So it stormed all day. So it's still kind of storming. It's overcast. We had hail today. So that's why you're hearing all this crackling. All right, so let's go to the 890 while we're here. And we hit, notice we've got it on the second receiver, so I just hit AB. And we drop the filter. It's on 2.7. There we go, I was on the MLA antenna. Notice how the MLA didn't get anything. And now at least this is getting that mess. Let's try the AOR down there. So we gotta switch the Warbrick back over, switch this, bring this up, and then let's go to 0.365, and let's drop the bandwidth. Gotta hit function, bandwidth, 3, enter. Tune it off because I hit this and it automatically tunes it. I think it tunes at 10. I think this changes when you use this one. It changes the tuning step based on the band you're in. So it was like doing it 10 kilohertz time because it thought I was an AM broadcaster or something like that. So here we are. Let's open up the scope. See, there's we're at 3.5 megahertz span. Let's go to 10. There's 10 megahertz. So, yeah, because this radio goes up to like, I don't know, 3 gigahertz or some crazy number. So you're running on like half a megahertz. But this one is getting that Longwave non-directional beacon as good or maybe even a little bit better than the 890. The 890 is a great ham receiver. But for a broadcast shortwave listening receiver, it is not the best. I have other videos that show that. I show it getting its ass kicked by the Harris and the Watkin Johnson 8711. Go back and look at some of my other videos. The 890 is not, or at least mine isn't. And it's brand new. And I took it out of the box and put it on. It doesn't have a scratch on it. Okay? It's a great ham receiver. It is not a great shortwave. Well, it is a great shortwave listening receiver, but this Drake is an excellent shortwave listening receiver. The AOR is not a great shortwave listening receiver. The advantage of the AOR is that it gets everything from like 0 to 3 gigahertz. It's got 2 antenna connections in the back. I've got like a UHF antenna up in the attic, and it senses where you are. It's also got 5 VFOs, so you change them here. So you just tap this button down here. Oops. Oh, I have to be out of that other mode. Sorry, I was in function. Let's hit clear. All right, so let's go to. There we go.
Wants to play for the Cowboys.
That's VFO E.
It would have been very possible that
that's
DeMarcus
FM
Lawrence would have
broadcast.
gotten Jadeveon Clowney.
VFO A. VFOB. So those two numbers are the span I want to scan. So this has a scanning function where you hit one button, it'll scan between what's on A and what's on B. And I'll scan the air bands to listen to like air traffic. And but it's like I said, it's after 9 p.m. and it's raining and storming out, so there's really not a lot out there for air traffic right now. There's AM broadcast on VFOC. There's the Longwave on D.
This event in
There's
NFL
the
history has
broadcast.
7 guaranteed years.
So this does some crazy stuff. But one of the things is it's really complicated to remember all this because everything is in these buttons. Whereas on here, you got almost one button for everything. It's really easy to figure out. And this is almost the same. I mean, this little menu, split menu function with this function button, that's very simple to figure out. This one, I don't know how close you can see, but each one of these buttons does 3 different things. It does what's below it, it does what's on it, and it does what's above it, I think. Or is it? Yeah. So, I mean, they do so many crazy things. And it's like, which one is which? And I got to keep the manual out all the time. Here it is right here. This is the only radio where I keep the manual right next to it. But, you know, it's a great radio for what it does. All going from 0 to like 3 gigahertz. Anyway, so let's try. Did we do this one on Longwave yet? Yeah, we're at 32 minutes. If all of y'all haven't fallen asleep by now, you're probably getting ready to, so. And again, this crackling is from the storms outside. That's not the radio's fault. None of them. But anyway, so let's back out. My opinion on these, this is an excellent, probably if you just want to do shortwave listening and listen to broadcasts, this is the best radio on the desk. This would be next and this would be last. This one, like I said, the advantage to this one is all the stuff it can do on all the different bands, UHF, VHF, shortwave listening, long wave, everything. And it's got that really cool scope that you can go from a 0.4 megahertz span to 10 megahertz span. It's, and on UHF and stuff like that, VHF, that's great to have that because you can find signals. You know, it helps you find signals and you just go to them. And it's sensitive enough. This one, that's designed, in my opinion, it's designed for hams to use, and it's excellent, incredible even on, in the ham bands, listening to sideband and CW. But for a shortwave listening radio, in my opinion, even with the DNR function, it's not the best. Now, the scope makes it, oh my gosh, it makes it so easy to find signals when you have one of those really great, beautiful, big scopes like that. But, when you want to listen to it, if you just want to sit down and listen to it, like the BBC telling you about what's going on in the Ukraine, man, I use this one every time, this Drake. So, or my ICOM 8600, or the Harris 505, or the 8711, or a few others. But ham radios, like when you look at that, what's the name of that company? Fisher something? Sherwood Engineering. He rates all these ham radios, like which is the best one for dynamic range. And the Yaesu 101 is the top one. And then, this is in the top 10. And the Yaesu 101 is either 1 or 2. And, but that rating is for using it on side. It's a sideband rating. It's rating for getting signals on sideband when they're super close together. You're not going to experience that when you're trying to do shortwave listening on broadcast bands. Signals are typically 5 kilohertz apart, and even if that gets in the way, most radios can differentiate those out. But anyway, I mean, it's a good radio, great radio, and I love the scope on it. But for shortwave listening, no, that's not my first choice. In this room right here, that one is great. And then that AOR is great for just because all the stuff it does. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on all this stuff. So, Robert, let me know what you think. Or anyone else. All right. Thanks for hanging out.